order the Novi Public Library Board of Trustees meeting for Wednesday, June 19, 2013. At this time, I'd like to have the call to order and ask our trustee to do the roll call.
Trustee Verma, absent, excused. Trustee Margolis.
Present.
Trustee Checkeye.
Here.
Trustee Teasdale, present. Trustee Mena.
Present.
Trustee Stirring.
Present.
Student Representative Matthew.
Present.
Student Representative Yuang.
Present.
If we could all now stand for the pledge, please.
If we could take a minute to look over the agenda. And I would like to add one item. I'm going to add it as item 6C. We have a presentation by Roy Prentice. We have to add that as item 6C. Any other comments to our agenda?
Motion to approve with change 6C.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda with the addition of item 6C. Any additional comments? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? None. The modified agenda has been approved. Moving on to correspondence, we have a series of, excuse me, I'm jumping ahead here to the consent agenda. Item number 4, consent agenda. Trustee Margolis.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out a couple items that are listed in the warrants. They'll probably be included in the treasurer's report, but I think they do need to be pointed out. We have 2 payments being made to the library network for software licenses, over $12,000. And then we also have another one added, library network. It's a new item for the Zinio. It's a 1-year subscription that'll be included in the periodicals for almost $4,400.
Okay. Those are generally once a year payments, so they're, you know, disproportionate, but they only happen once a year, right?
The Zinio, I think this is that. The Zinio was a new opportunity for us to take advantage of consortium pricing to offer downloadable magazines, which I had shared during budget time that we were going to go over that budget a little bit to take on that opportunity.
Okay. Anything else in regard to the consent agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to accept.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the consent agenda as presented has been approved. And now, moving on to item number 5, correspondence. A series of thank yous, apparently, that we
did. We had a series of thank yous that were received over the last month. The first was from Angie Vaughn, Novi Community School District. This was a thank you to the library and the administration department for assisting with coffees with the superintendent. This was a monthly meeting that we offered to the superintendent to be held at the library so that he could have a public forum in a public area in order for parents to meet with him and discuss questions about, about the school district and anything that would come up. So that's something that we've offered to the school district. Page 17 is a thank you from Kelly Vella. She's the Director of Community Engagement for the Chamber Music Society of Detroit. And also Steve Wagaman, President. This was a thank you for the library taking part in the Listen at the Library programs and the series that we offered this past year. It was very successful again, and I'm happy to report to you that we are working with the Chamber in order to provide a 3rd season, which will be coming up for 13-14. Page 18 is a thank you letter from Rob Wilson. He was a presenter at the library and was a very successful program. The reason for his thank you was first, to be able to provide the program at the library, but also there were some technical difficulties, unfortunately, on his end with the equipment that he brought in, and our team was able to handle those difficulties that he had, bringing in some new equipment that he wasn't aware of in terms of Apple, and we were able to accommodate that and make his program very successful. So we appreciated that note. And then finally, the last thank you note is from Girl Scout Troop 40397, and that was for Miss Margie working with the troop in order to for them to achieve one of their project awards. So we're happy that we can accommodate them, and we try to do that with our scout troops as much as possible. That's it. Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6. This is an opportunity for several presentations. I would like to, at this time now, move from here to the podium and recognize Ann Jordan and Robert Martin for their years of service. Ann Jordan, if you're willing to come up here. We have a certificate of appreciation for Ann Jordan. It reads, "This certificate is awarded to Ann Jordan for 18 years of outstanding performance and lasting contribution to the Novi Public Library." We're really pleased that you've devoted so many years of service to all the wonderful things at the library. And we can't thank you enough, but we at least want to give you a token of our appreciation with a certificate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
And I'll read this here. You may stay there if you want, but I'll read this. This is similar certificate of appreciation. Oh, okay.
My daughter says I'm getting up.
Okay. Then you're getting up.
One thing I found, you don't have much voice when there's a woman involved. My boss.
This is why he works so well in our office. No, we love him.
I have one quick thing on that. I worked for over 75 years. Never had a woman boss. I retired and got 3 jobs. All my bosses are women.
Let me read this. A certificate of appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Robert Martin for 19 years of outstanding performance and lasting contribution to the Novi Public Library. We want to thank you for those 19 years of service, all those wonderful things that you've done for us. We really appreciate it. And this is really just a small token of our appreciation giving you this certificate.
Thank you. I just want to add just a couple comments. Both Ann and Bob have just been amazing volunteers. You put their years of service together, and that's 37 years of work that they've given to us, and they've been so fantastic to work with. Bob has worked in our administration office, he's worked in our outreach, he's helped on a number of projects for us. Ann actually was an employee at one time at the library, and even after she left, wanted to come back. So I think that says a lot. And she works in our technical services department. So she's helping with processing of books and materials and weeding. They've given so much dedication, so much commitment, and it's so much appreciated. When people think about retiring, we hope that they do think about working with us as one avenue. They think of the library. I know that they've truly given us an opportunity to make new friends by doing this, and they help us out in so many ways. So I truly appreciate both of you so much, and hope that you'll continue to stay with us, because it's been a blessing, and it's always wonderful to see you helping us out each day. Thank you both.
Item number 6B on our agenda, the introduction of Christina Salvatore, our communications coordinator.
Yes, I am very excited to introduce Christine. I'm going to have her come up to the podium. She is our new communications person at the library. As you all know, she actually started full-time both with the city and the library, and we were fortunate enough to snag her over to the library full-time. So we are very pleased. Christina brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm, creativity. You know, she's only been with us just starting, obviously part-time and then now full-time, but just, you know, we see a lot of potential and growth for her. This is her first opportunity in the workforce full-time, and it's been such a pleasure already. But I'm going to let her talk a little bit about herself and what she plans to be doing. So,
Thank you.
Christina.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Salvatore, as Julie mentioned. I would first like to say thank you to Julie for inviting me to this meeting and share with you all a little bit of background information about myself and my day-to-day responsibilities and projects at the library that I'm working on. In 2011, I received a degree in public relations from Madonna University. While at Madonna, I learned a great deal about career preparation, along with spiritual and personal growth. During my last year, I had the opportunity to write for their online newspaper, the Madonna Herald, and also completed a 6-month internship at the Henry Ford Museum in their public relations and special events department. While working at the museum, I familiarized myself with a variety of computer programs, writing techniques, and coordinating different events. Following graduation, I found myself devoting hours of time to finding that perfect job. And I came across a posting on the City of Novi's website for a communications coordinator, and here I am. When I began this position in January, I was working a split shift at the library and the city. And working at the city was a great experience. I learned an immense amount of information and gained a lot of knowledge in that 4 short months. I was thrilled when I found out there was a full-time position at the library that I could not pass up. To say the library is a fabulous place to work would be an understatement. I learned something new every day there, and the staff is just outstanding. Currently at the library, I'm responsible for their monthly e-newsletter, the Engage publication, which is distributed 3 times a year. I update the library's website and promote a variety of programs through press releases and the library's plasma screens and different kiosks throughout the facility. In between my everyday promotional responsibilities at the library, I also get the opportunity to host some special events. We recently did, we had a Mango International Learning Day, and this past Monday we had a geek party. Our What Do You Geek campaign has been featured at the library for over a year, and to end the program we had a geek celebration this past Monday. We gave patrons the opportunity to bring their friends and family and celebrate their geekness. Guests were treated to pizza dinner, raffles, board games, and of course, geek conversation. It was a great way for us to show the patrons that we are listening to their ideas and what they love and their passion. And we want to provide them with the best resources and collections at the library by hearing their thoughts. With our marketing at its best, I want to continue to use all our tools and always search for new ways to promote all the fabulous programs at the library that they have to offer. Along with our Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest accounts, I will be developing a blog to not only share with patrons our library happenings, but to get on a personal level with the patrons. I want to introduce our staff, tell them about our weekends and what is going on in our lives, and offer them a behind-the-scenes look at how we run our library. The blog will be debuting this summer, and with the help of other staff, it's sure to be a good team project. These past 6 months working at the library have been such a positive and exciting experience for me. I just am really excited to continue the journey. So thank you all for giving me this opportunity and welcoming me to your NPL family.
So as you can see, we just love her.
You know, I would just like to say on behalf of the board, engage us if we, as a board, can help you in terms of your duty as a communication coordinator. Challenge us as a board, other things that we can do. I know that you're challenging staff and so forth, but challenge us as a board too, if we can help you with that.
Great. We'd love to do some profiles and things, so good. Great.
Any questions from any other board members? Comments? Okay. Moving on then to item 6C, just added tonight, a presentation by Roy Prentice, who's the chair of the Historical Commission.
Thanks, really appreciate this opportunity to address the board. Julie invited me to come tonight and just give you a little background on what the Historical Commission does. I know you have a feel for what we do already, but it's an opportunity for me to, on behalf of the Historical Commission, kind of just share what we've been doing the last few years. We are a commission that receives funding from the city. It's a city commission, and we have 4 members currently, and our charter says we can have a max of 5. We have our meetings at the library, and we have a lot of support from the library. And since Novi doesn't have a museum, a historical museum, I really feel strongly that the library kind of serves that function for us. With the local history room, it allows us as a group to accept images and oral histories and other items from the community and have a spot where they can be preserved a long time. So, I really appreciate the connection between our commission and the library. The library's been super, super, super supporting of all the activities that we have done. And, the library is also a focus of a lot of our projects as we move through. I've got a couple things that I wanted to share with you. One is a kind of a summary of all the activities that we've been involved with for probably the last 3 years or so. I also have a brief PowerPoint that I'm going to go over sort of the highlights of this list. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to leave you with this, but not really go over every piece, okay? So this is a summary of kind of the high points and some of the maybe lesser projects that we've been pursuing. But I think what I'd really like to do is just go through a quick PowerPoint that I put together. It can graphically show you some of the projects that we've been involved with. Since the library is such a big part of what we do, I think it really is important to just give you a sense of what we as a commission do. Our activities are throughout the Novi community. We put up some markers and some other things, but we also support strongly activities of a historical nature in the library too. So one of our big projects in recent years was the Novi Baseline commemorative project. This was a project that was part of a larger art installation by Novi resident and artist David Barr. And it commemorates the 1815 surveying of the Michigan baseline, which was originally done as a way to define land that would then later be gifted to veterans of the War of 1812. As the surveyors moved through this area, they often had not real complimentary things to say about Southeast Michigan in general, so that gifting went to Missouri and Illinois and Indiana. But this survey really led to the establishment of Southeast Michigan and Novi being one of those communities as a place for people to come to settle. So David Barr has got these installations along 8 Mile Road, and Novi had joined that community with its own. So I work for Michigan State University here in Novi, and me and my crew and then other members of the Historical Commission did a lot of the work in terms of establishing the brickwork and getting the marker placed and that sort of thing. We also had an Eagle Scout project Cameron Holdaway did, and that group actually laid the bricks. So it's, and then in the plaza around the marker are bricks commemorating different aspects of Novi history. So this one talks about the 1815 survey, but there are many other historical facts that give a point of interest as people visit that area. And this is down in the ITC Sports Park, which is on the corner of Napier and 8 Mile Road. So it's right next to the play structure there, and it's a nice place for people to come and sit and enjoy the day. And then this was on the dedication, which was in late 2011. The city was very supportive, and the library was very supportive on really making this a festive event. David Barr's in the middle, and then the rest of the commission members around him. One of the other activities we do is a heritage festival. Commission is not doing it this year, but this is an event that have done for many years, initially at the first park right near the library, and then more lately at the Tollgate property that I manage. But it's a way to engage the whole community. We have some old-time crafts where people can enjoy seeing basket making, woodworking, horseshoeing. This fellow we brought in, and he did some sheep herding. A lot of fun to watch. You know, the dogs really could control the sheep, although I think the sheep had read the script. I think they kind of knew what they were supposed to do. But this is another event the library is very supportive of. They had a table. There was always crafts involved with information distributed, about the goings-on at the library. Some of the library projects that we have been pursuing now and have pursued lately. We're working on displays in some of the cases in the libraries, developing content for the historical portion of the library's webpage. We funded the digitization of the Novi News. We host a historical speakers series. We've been working to procure images and books that are significant to the city. A lot of work in the local history room. We purchased a computer scanner, other computer equipment that makes that room more usable. The Historical Commission staffs the local history room 2 days a month so that there's a drop-in time where folks can come and get questions answered about genealogy or anything to do with the city, and any way we can help them, we try to do that. And then most recently developed a glass etching project on the windows of the local history room.
And that will be unveiled next week.
It will be unveiled next week. That's right. It's going to be a fun event. So a couple of the projects we're working on for the library is the speaker series. We've had to date 10 speakers on various Novi historical aspects at the library. And typically we do 4 or 5 a year. And then are going to start installations in the historical cabinets on the main floor near the elevators. And so our first installation is going in there around about July 1st, and it's going to be on the Civil War. We're at the 150th anniversary of Gettysburg and the Vicksburg campaign, so that was a real fitting, and there's going to be pieces from both of those aspects of the Civil War in that. There were a lot of soldiers that came from the Novi Northville area that participated in the Civil War. And then working on another installation that will commemorate the War of 1812 that will be coming on after the Civil War exhibition runs its course. The historical webpage was something that we developed last year. So all of the sites that are listed in that sort of darker column on the left side, if a visitor to the Novi website clicks on one of those, it brings up an image or 2 or 3 or 5, and then a description as to how that image and that place is significant to Novi. This happens to be the Methodist church that once upon a time was located on Grand River and now is currently on Beck Road. So I think that really adds a lot to the accessibility of history to patrons of the library and residents for the city of Novi, and kind of serves as a beginning point for any research that somebody would want to do, learning about the city and its history. Really excited about this. This was a constable logbook that we obtained from a former citizen of the city of Novi, and it has entries in it dating back to 1839. And the entries are fairly mundane, but really, I think, give a window into that time period. So the types of things that you'd see in here is if the constable was called out to a landowner's house and the landowner wanted to report that a steer wandered into his farm or a horse was discovered. And if the ownership was unclear, they'd write it down. If nobody came forward to claim it, then they could keep it, but it had to go on official record. And so it's a really early look into our history, and some of the entries are from some of the prominent citizens that have their buildings and names have come down through history. So it's a really great find. Also came across a fellow who had quite a collection of postcards, some of which talk about Novi landmarks and Walled Lake recreation areas, which is part of the Novi city limits. And so those are all scanned, and now they're in our collection. And then the local history room, the glass etching project that has just been completed. You can see the original image on the top, and then the image that the artist worked with in creating the etching on the glass. This is, our artist is Ryan Trainer. He did a wonderful job applying the images to the glass in the room windows, and we are having our grand opening on July 27th from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. We're going to have refreshments and some programs. You get to hear me talk again for a little bit, you know, if you just can't get enough of Roy Prentice. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a real fun evening. And then we have a few ongoing projects that we're working on right now. We are part of, any of the city activities, festivities that are around. So like the Fall for Novi event. Typically we've been involved in sort of the neighborhood breakfast event. So we keep, we are part of the city, and so we want to make sure that folks know that there are, that Novi has a history, and that history is accessible. We're working on a Motor Cities marker project. It's part of a larger project that has signs placed throughout Michigan and other states. It's a project that is supported by the Department of the Interior, and they pay a good portion of the funding for the signs. They provide all the design techniques, and then we come up with the content and some of the funding. So we're working on 8 markers that would be placed around the city of Novi. And then, so those are listed. Lakeshore Park, the markers have to have something to do with transportation. It could be automobile related, it could be train related, it could be Native American footpaths, but it has to have something with transportation. So for instance, Lakeshore Park was originally one of the Dodge parks, and it was a place where folks could go, set up tent, camp, and that sort of thing, and enjoy recreational opportunities around the lake. The Pavilion Shore Park had the lakeside recreation. It had the roller coaster amusement park, and then the Pavilion Casino Dance Hall. The train station had been a part of the community since the 1870s. We have a couple of markers on Grand River for various topics there, early businesses, and then just the fact that the Grand River Road is a major artery through our area. And then the Novi Special commemorating that. So hope to have these in place sometime in the next few months. And then what is pictured there is just the installation, an installation in Flint, but just to give you an idea of what they look like. They're really attractive. I've seen them in person. And then another project we're working on is a brochure that would be a takeaway that could be at the library or at City Hall here, that people who are interested in Novi history could take the brochure. This is what the front looks like. It was developed, the content was developed by myself and other commission members, and it was actually put together by Jarrell Rashid, who was an intern at the library. So he did sort of the computer and the formatting work. But anyway, this is the front of the brochure, what it looks like. And then the back side has a map of the city with important places historically noted on it, and then a brief description of each one of those places. So somebody with this could take a self-guided historical tour around the town. And this is in the hands of the city now, and they have some pieces they want to add to it, and then they're going to help us with the printing of it. So that's just kind of a thumbnail sketch as to what we've been doing the last few years. It has been a really great relationship between the Historical Commission and the library. My contact information is there if you have any questions, and it's also on this handout that I gave to you. Or if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Those little people in that picture, they're so little.
I know, isn't that funny? So this was a Memorial Day parade that was probably 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Yeah. So Julie and her kids and me and my kid, that kid
Right,
next to me.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So my daughter was the tractor driver that day. So. anyway, but I really appreciate the opportunity to, let you know what's going on. The library really is a huge part of, what allows us to do what we need to do, and I certainly appreciate the support of the library and the board.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
We really appreciate the presentation, and likewise on behalf of the library, we appreciate the partnership with Historical Commission. I think this has teamed up very well in the past couple of years when things got restructured a little bit, and we enjoy your partnership with us as much as you enjoy our partnership with you. And I'm personally amazed, because I know your budget isn't that extensive, just to see the list of the things that you've done with really not a whole lot of funds. You've got some grants here and there, but for not much money, you're doing an awful lot. And we appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. We kind of plug away at it and just kind of make things happen, so.
Any other questions, comments from any other board members? No.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you, Roy.
Next item on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for anybody in the general public. They have any comment they want to make to the library. This is a chance to do it. You just have to go up to the podium if you want to make a presentation. I'm not seeing anybody rushing up to the podium, so we will move on to item number 8, which is the President's Report. President's Report starts out with a goals document, and for that, I will turn it over to Julie.
Okay. This is the final goals document for the year. As far as I'm concerned, it's pretty well updated. About 11 and a half months, we'll say, worth of work, since we've got a couple weeks still left of June. But I think we've tried to capture everything that the library has worked on over the past year based on the goals that the library board had set for us last year. At this time, what I really want to do is thank my amazing staff, because these are not my goals. These are the board's goals that we then bring to the staff and try to figure out how we can achieve such goals and the different types of tactics that we will do and hopefully offer to our patrons and to the users of the library. So this is definitely a huge team effort by everyone at the staff, and I look forward to going back after this meeting. I normally have all staff meetings following board meetings, to give them information about what's going on, and I will be very pleased to take this packet back and let them know that this is what was accomplished this past year. It was just a fantastic year, all the different types of programming and events and policies, and just you'll see that it's even more, there's a lot more detail as you read through it for this final time, because I then went and glanced over it again and again to make sure that we tried to capture everything that we did or instituted or tried or, looked into for the library and for our patrons this year. So I'm pleased by all the results. A couple things that I'd love to just point out just for the end of the year and for what happened in June. On the first page, which would be page 21, we did have our final wrap-up and geek program, which Christina helped us on this year. That kind of takes us to a year end of geekness and celebrating and finding out what are our patrons' passions and hobbies. We'll be taking that information and putting that together so that we can look at how we can present new programming and accommodate some of the ideas and interests that our patrons have. So I find that to be very valuable information that we've received over the past year celebrating. And that was a campaign that was done by the American Library Association. So across country, all types of libraries have done that campaign over the year. If you look on page 21, we did install our read box. I know we talked about the installation at the last meeting, and our read box was installed at Lakeshore Park on the 6th of June. We've done 2 visits out to the park to check on the books, and we are putting books into the read box. So I'm very happy to report that people are not checking out, but actually taking materials, and not necessarily returning them, which is totally fine. We want them to take them, read them, and share them is really more the concept. If they come back to the box, that's great. If not, and they continue to share, that's also a very good thing. We have found in the last 2 weeks that it tends to be a lot of youth materials, so we are going to make sure that there's lots of youth materials in that box as we move forward for the next few weeks, and this will go on through October as we find that our parks will be used up until that point. On page, Gonna skip a little bit to page 24. Just wanted to update you on text messages for holds. That's something currently that we're working with and testing with TLN, our consortium. We'd like to be able to provide the opportunity where you would receive a text on your phone letting you know that you have a book on hold at the library. So that is something that we're currently working with. It was one of our strategic plans as well, one of the ideas that came up from the patrons in order to alert them to their materials and try to get out information to them as quickly as possible. So that's one thing that has been added because we have started the tracking and then the implementation with TLN. I don't know how long it will be before we see that actually go live, but I'll definitely keep you abreast of that. On page 26, just wanted to let you know that we've been accepted by the Michigan Library Association, myself and our city manager, Clay Pearson, and Jason Magnum, who is the director of Parks and Rec, to present at the Michigan Library Association Conference this October. I'm excited because we're talking about partnerships and how libraries and cities work together, which I think we have a very good design, we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be bringing that information to many libraries and many colleagues, I think, that will want to hear that information. So we'll be presenting in October. Our presentation was accepted by the program committee for MLA. Let me see, page 29, we did get all of our signatures and our cafe lease was signed, so we moved forward and we are now working with the Bernsteins on our 3-year commitment to our cafe for the next 3 years, and that was a renewal. And one thing I wanted to point out just on page 31 is that if you look at the very last, second to the last box, I did implement and note to you all the policies that were reviewed or approved or revised over the last year. I thought that was a good area to put that information in for you so that you see what we've accomplished and what we've looked at over the last year. But that's all I have, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Would you just remind me where the conference is in October this year? Or is
The
it in-
conference is in Lansing this year.
In Lansing? Okay.
And I'm actually hoping that we can get a couple members to attend, so I'll be getting information out to you.
Thank you. Any comments on the goal? Trustee Checkeye?
Julie, on the texting the hold,
Yes.
how does that fit in with didn't we change the policy that you have to have the library card to pick up?
Correct.
So what will happen in the case where I get a text indicating that my hold is ready to be picked up?
We would try to indicate on there, I don't know at this point, but regardless, the policy is to have your library card when you come into the library for picking up any items or checking out. So that policy isn't going to change.
Okay.
Right, we're not looking to change that. This is just a notification and a quicker notification from email and from sometimes phone calls, depending on how the patron has decided to receive information from us. If they're opting for a text, we'll be able to get that as another form of communication to them to let them know the materials are available. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm just going to mention here that, and Julie had sent us an email, that there's a survey going on right now, and that you can basically vote for your favorite library.
Yes.
Either on Facebook or on a website, tutor.com.
Correct.
And the Novi Library is one of, I want to say, 15 or
you're right.
18 libraries that by either going on Facebook or going on that website, you can vote.
It's based on a program, the Digital Detox program we actually put in and submitted as a unique program, and there's an opportunity for a $1,000 grant.
But what I wanted to mention, because I went on there today.
Yes.
And you can vote each day.
Yes, you
So
can.
I just wanted to remind all
Vote-
the board
vote
members,
often.
as well, those listening, that's an opportunity, and
Yes.
you can vote each and every day
Yes, you can.
through, I think it's Sunday.
Yes.
Chicago politics.
Just each day, no more than once a day.
Julie, just a quick question, I think it might fall here under President Report, but recently we had something similar where we were asked to vote or like the Novi Town Center.
Yes.
And we were partnering with them, and I think they were giving us, remind me, a certain amount of money depending on,
They would give us up to $1,000 based on the number of likes. We had to get 1,000 likes on their page. They had to get liked 1,000 times, and we would receive up to $1,000.
Is that still ongoing?
It is still ongoing, and so we'll keep pushing it. It'll go, actually in our e-newsletter, but in fact, I talked to the gentleman who, is the manager of the town center, and he's encouraging it. He'd like to give us the $1,000. So he's hoping that if everyone will visit the town center Facebook page and like it, that's $1 each time that goes to the library.
Do you know what the figure was the last you saw?
The last I saw, and that was already probably about 10 days ago, was a little over 300, I believe.
Okay.
It was like 350 or something. So, but it's slowly growing, and he says that he will continue it. He says, keep trying through the summer. And I said, great, we'll keep promoting it then.
I have on my agenda for item 8B, the library director's annual performance review. Now, I also have it at the very end, an executive session. The director has her choice, of course, if she wants to do it now or an executive session at the end. You've got it on the agenda at the end, so I want to make sure it's what you want to do.
Yes, I'd actually like to go into closed session if
Okay,
that's
okay.
great.
That's what I thought, but wanted to make sure you had that choice and know you had that choice. That's all under President's report. Unless anybody has any questions or comments, moving on to the Treasurer's report. Trustee Checkeye.
Good evening, thank you. I'll plan on being brief. Let me go past the budget, which the budget hasn't changed, but this is certainly here for continued reference. In taking a look at the financial performance for the library operations through the 31st of May, which would represent 11 months out of our 12-month fiscal year end. You can see here that, we had to dip in a little bit. Our net expenditures exceeded our revenues for the year-to-date performance. However, in taking a look at what we can expect for the month of June, and therefore which would represent our 12-month performance. At this point, we are targeting and tracking to have a $54,000 approximate favorable to plan expense category, thereby meaning that for the year we're projecting that we'll spend $54,000 less than what otherwise was budgeted. And on the revenue side, it looks like we are tracking with an expectation of an additional $90,000 yet to be received and reflected here in property tax revenues in particular, that our overall revenues for the year will be tracking somewhere between, let's say, $105,000 and $125,000 favorable to plan or better than originally had projected. So, as we discussed briefly at the last month's meeting, while at the end of the year we will still need a contribution or an appropriation from our fund balance to cover our expenditures from our revenues, that number will be and should be significantly less than the $305,000 that we originally had budgeted. Right now, we're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $125,000 to $150,000 as opposed to the $305,000. So overall, I think the library staff has done a tremendous job in watching our expenditures and getting the most out of our resources and spending wisely, if you will, and spending in some cases less than arguably that was made available to the library. And likewise, we've done a very good job in the form of increasing our revenues. Clearly, property tax revenues, state aid, and so forth aren't really within the control of the library, but such things as library fines and renting of the rooms and the library fund, those are things that are probably more engaging on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis between the library staff members. So they've done a very good job of hitting those revenue numbers.
Since you're talking about the meeting room, I'd like to note that we have not, for anyone who's called and tried to get a meeting room, and it being a potential after hours or something that we'd have to accommodate in a different way, I want the board to know that we have not had to turn down anyone for their requests for a room. Now, if we might have had no rooms available, that would have been the only way that we would have denied usage, but we've tried very hard to accommodate them with after-hours events, weekend events, and even with us not being open now on Sunday, we even have a few events that we're hosting, bridal showers, baby showers, things like that, that our community has now engaged us with renting, and we've been very successful, 100%, so.
Yeah, those two line items in particular, the meeting room as well as the cafe, which somewhat go hand in hand. I mean, that's a little less than $25,000, to date, and hopefully that'll increase. So that's not a bad little source of revenue. I'm not so sure we really anticipated that.
I don't
way back
think we
when.
really did.
So that works out well. Yes.
Trustee Margolis.
If I might, I'd like to share some observations also. With respect to the meeting rooms.
Sure.
It's reflected in May's revenue. We generated the highest monthly total of the year at $3,660.
Lots of parties.
In the month. Excellent, excellent. I was a little disappointed based upon the presentation that was made at the last meeting when the treasurer was here. And here, we were led to expect the additional tax revenues, and yet in the month of May, we actually took a decline. Another $1,460 was charged against us. So I'm hoping it'll be part of the year-end adjustment that'll get reflected in, but I'm skeptical until I see it, that we've earned it.
We received a notification.
Yeah, as of this morning, we
Yes.
received a notification that there's another $90,000, give or
An
take. adjustment.
estimated.
Okay.
That will
So
be
I think we're happy to, yeah.
That's great. It just wasn't
Yes.
reflected through the
Right.
May activity.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the other things that caught my attention, with respect to the controllable operating expenses, the biggest area of concentration where you've been able to exert positive influences on personal services, that's where you're really below budget, and that's driving, because in some of the other categories, we're actually a little bit over, but that's fine. The other observation I had is that for this fiscal year and going forward, the city changed its policy with respect to the investments, and I know we weren't provided with the investment statement, but there was no market fluctuation adjustments, either positive or negative. On an 11-month year-to-date basis, we're still positive. So the money has been invested on our behalf, and they've been working with us. Everything else is in line, and I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions regarding the treasurer's report?
Let me just finish up, we did receive the cafe, and that was for $430, and, the budget has been $5,000 per year, which is, looks like, which is 400 and some change per month, and so it looks like we're tracking on that as well, so.
If I may
Thank
ask
you.
one more question, and I'll direct it to Julie here. I don't know if it was initiated on our behalf or something arbitrarily done at the city, but on the Walker Fund, the Fund 269 analysis, for whatever reason, they had designated the residual restricted funds from the $20,000 gift from the Friends. $6,000 is still left over. They moved it to unassigned as
Yeah.
opposed to restricted,
I have
where it had been previously all year long. So
I had a question, but I haven't received anything back just to double check why. So I don't have an answer yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
No other comments? Thank you, trustee Checkeye, for that report. Moving on to item number 10, it's the director's report. We're back to Julie.
Okay, and I think we're on page 39. Just a few things to highlight. I have talked about a couple things already, so just wanted to point out that we did welcome Swedish delegates to the library. They were visiting Novi, and we were fortunate enough to give them a tour. They were a wonderful group that came over, and they had such wonderful things to say about our great building, so it was a pleasure to have the opportunity to welcome them and to tour them of the building. Performance evaluations are currently, actually, they're pretty much to the close. I met with my management team today, and there's just a few more managers that have a couple more to present, and they should be done by the end of this week. And we always have them completed by the end of June for performance as to how employees are performing in their tasks. And then,
If I can interrupt,
yes.
what is the overall impact or the morale, the response to the criticisms and the acknowledgements of the contributions made?
Nope, that's a very, to the accomplishments from the goals, you mean, or?
No,
or
the
to-
individuals.
To theirs.
Okay,
I
I
have
mean-
not had the opportunity yet to review all of them, so I will be doing that. I haven't, to me, I think overall, just from what I hear from my managers, things went very well. But I have not had the opportunity yet to review them. The other thing that we're doing currently is we had close to 30 employees at the library that weren't part of the library when we opened the new building in 2010. And so Margie and I, as part of our goals this past year, we wanted to bring back some customer service training and to talk about that whole process that we went through when we were getting ready to open the new building. So Margie and I, in the last few weeks, have been meeting with some of the newer employees to go over our expectations of customer service. Had great brainstorming sessions on some things that they think in terms of customer service don't work, which gives us then the opportunity to make improvements, which we'll be looking at over the next couple months. I'll be putting all of that data together from the meetings that we had, and I'll be happy to share that information with you so that we move forward. There's always opportunity for improvement, and it also gives the staff an opportunity to have a voice, which I much appreciate. We've talked about Zinio and obviously the launch of that in our downloadable magazine, so we hope that the patrons are enjoying it. I did provide you with some quick statistics that I did receive from TLN in regard to the usage so far. We had a great library board goal-setting session on June 15th. I thank you all for your time, and that information is reflected in some minutes here today, and you will also do an approval. Wanted to provide you with some information about penal fines, just so you have a good understanding of where they come from. As I wrote in my little just notation here, I like to call that speed to read, because that's when, and it's state highways specifically, when your state patrol officers are out there, and if you're being pulled over for a traffic violation, there's a percentage of that money that then goes to public libraries. So if you are traveling on 96 and you are in Oakland County and it is considered the Novi portion and you get pulled over, a portion of that ticket does go to your library, and I do thank people for that, because it's nice to see some of that money coming from the state and going to the libraries. And I think that's something people don't understand or don't realize, and so I wanted you to have that information just for yourself. I thought that was very good information that came from the state.
We feel much better when we pay our fines.
That's right, speed to read.
Just a point of information, we had budgeted 52,000 in that
Yes.
category. In 11 months, we're at 69,000 with a month to go.
Yes, and I do believe that's attributed to the new state patrol office that has taken over. They're sharing some office space here in Novi at the Novi Police Department, and so we do have active cars coming and going out of this Novi area, so I think they're doing their job very well. I did provide you with a little bit of information. I know we had a brief conversation a couple months back at a meeting about some gun legislation and how that affects libraries. So I wanted to share with you a letter that came, that was written by the board at the Baldwin Library in Birmingham, and how they're taking an approach to that. And if that's something that the board would want to discuss further, I welcome that at some time if that's of interest to you. And then the Friends had a wonderful annual meeting. I thank Trustee Mena for being in attendance with me. They had a great turnout, and their patio party also was a fantastic event. They had about 75 attendees there, and Pat wanted me to share, because he couldn't be here this evening, that they had 12 new members and 5 renewals, so that's really good numbers for them in terms of gaining their membership. And it was a great event. The patio party wasn't on the patio, unfortunately, because of weather, but we had a great time in the building. But there's lots of information that I provided about the Friends this evening. At their annual meeting, they approved their May minutes, but they also brought their new budget for the new year, which I've included for you to look over. One thing which I did share last month is that they've earmarked specific programs that they're going to annually fund for the library, and that's part of their budget this year. So it's very exciting that they have a specific amount of programming and initiatives that they want to always be continuing. And then we have the wish list on top of it. So they've been very generous to us. over the last few years. I cannot thank them enough for the amount of programming and opportunities that we've been able to really bring forth to our patrons because of them. And then they had also their annual report and some of the things that they accomplished this year.
Can you explain what kaleidoscope programs are?
That's the name of it that they're calling it. Yeah, just, a kaleidoscope being many colors and many opportunities of different types of programming. That's their series that they call it.
Okay.
But they bring in a number of different performers and events throughout the year that they pay for. And let me just double check. And that is all I have. If there's any questions.
Questions for the director's report? Trustee Checkeye.
Julie, going to the issue of the open firearms.
Yes.
What has been our experience in the Novi Library?
We have
today?
not had any incidents that I know of, at least in the last 5 years that I have been as director. In fact, the one incident that I did have, I think I shared with you, where we had one of our police officers call, and a patron had given the police department a heads up that he was carrying a weapon, and he has a permit for it, and he was going to be entering the library. So they were giving us a heads up that he would be in the library. But I've not had any issues of open concealed weapons in the library.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to additional reports.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Sure.
Could we be excused?
You may be excused any time that you want. Yes, you do not have to stay till the end, by all means.
Thank you so much.
Don't feel obligated. Yeah, you had very, yep. Thank you again. Thank you again. Yes. Public service reports.
Yes, so we have a number of reports. This isn't the end of the year yet. We'll be reporting in July all our final numbers, but if you look at page 47, we issued 283 cards. That's actually gone up. I want to let you know that the summer months definitely bring on more people realizing that they haven't received a card, or maybe they've lost a card. With our new policy going into effect in September, with everyone having a card in hand, we are promoting and definitely encouraging people to get a new card if they need one, and it's not we're not charging them to do that. We want to make sure that our patrons have cards in hand. So we have been issuing out a lot of new cards in the last month. Page 48, you'll see our statistics for the self-checks, still holding at about that 58% mark, which we did have in our strategic plan this year, hoping that we'd go up a little bit in usage, but we've stayed consistent. So I'm happy to see we haven't gone down, but I did share. We have, right, exactly. We haven't exceeded. And I shared that with our support services team, that we should be looking at some opportunities. I think with it being 3 years, I think there's ways we can get out there and encourage people to use that self-checkout machine more often, especially when there's long lines. And summer reading is a big time to do that, and we were talking about that at our management team meeting today.
Anecdotally, it seems most of the complications that I've observed is not our material that was properly RFID tagged.
Yes.
And gets sensitized by the machines and the scanners.
Right.
It's when you have materials from other libraries that it's not explained. You gotta make sure that the piece of material gets recognized by the sensor or the
Exactly.
scanner. And they see, when people then set off the alarm, it's normally not our material.
Correct.
So I don't know if maybe this is something Christine could help us with, is to help educate everybody to appreciate the fact that we are part of a network.
Correct.
And that we've expanded our offering not just to what is on our shelves, but from other libraries. But we need their cooperation in order to
Right.
process it timely.
Right. And I do believe we we could be out there a little bit more, helping patrons even just as they go through the process. In fact, I was on Welcome Desk. I try to be on Tuesdays, and with it being so busy with summer reading now, Tremendous Tuesdays kicked off this week. There were 450 people in the park for First Park for our 10:30 program, which probably about half then walked in the doors afterwards. So we were very busy Tuesday, a lot of programming and kicking off summer reading. And I had shared with our manager that it might be helpful for us to have a body out there to direct a little bit and ask people, if you're just waiting in line and you don't need anything, in paying a fine, what I did, we had a couple people who were standing in line because they had to pay a fine. They didn't realize, even though the information's there, they can pay by credit card. So it's just that little bit of education again, and I think we have to go back to some of that one-on-one type of helpfulness, to our patrons when they're using the building. And I think we'll see some of that increase, because I don't think they're afraid to use it. I think self-use technology is very much, out there, and people are embracing it. It's just, they might be apprehensive to maybe being stopped at one time. Then on page 49, there are the statistics for the library usage itself, and you can see our numbers there. So we have 355,692 materials that have checked out, and wait a second. Yes, materials that have checked up so far to date, and then we have usage of our early literacy workstations, and you can see the usage, and that'll probably go up a lot this summer, which it usually does. And then on page 50 is our technology sessions that we're offering. And page 51, the number of computer logins. So, yes.
May I make a request for next month, when you close the fiscal year, can you put below the totals the percentage change from the prior year, since you're putting them side by side? But you can see the growth or the improvement year over year?
Sure.
Thank you.
And then we had the public service reports and the building operation reports as well, and that's all I have.
Okay. Item number 12, Friends of the Novi Library.
Which I gave pretty much covered in my director's report. Basically, I included all the information that came from their annual meeting, which was held on June 12th, and that's all I have.
Okay. Moving on then to the Students' Representatives Report, and we have a new student representative with us tonight, so it's an exciting night.
So my name is Xiang Huang, but you guys can call me Z. I'm going to be a junior at Novi High School next year, and I'm 16 years old. I view the library as my second home because I've done so much stuff there. I've been eating there, I've slept there, I've done homework there. When I'm tired, I take a blanket there and I sleep there. And therefore, I'm very eager to become a teen representative and to start giving back to this lovely place, because I want this second home to be as welcoming as my first, a wonderful, joyful, and educational place where people of all ages can come to have fun, study, and of course, read. Also, this is also an opportunity for me to see what a government runs itself like, and I'm very interested in political science, so I think this would be a very good opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the board, or the report, for programs, we had our Digital Detox Week, which was really successful, and we would like to thank the Novi Interact Club for volunteering. And then we had our WOW Writing Workshop, which helped students write college essays, which was a great turnout. And then we had our summer reading program, which had like teen volunteers sign people up for the program, so that was good. And we had lots of applications, and our teen space continues to thrive with 384 kids in the last month.
And for Teen Advisory Board, we had the final Teen Advisory Board meeting on May 17th. We reinstated monthly meetings, and then we also elected our new officers. The president remains Krista Schaefer. I'm the new vice president. Secretary is Jessica Matthew, and activities director is Nina Lee. Finally, we have the internship, where the Novi Public Library has provided the opportunity to give the two of us an opportunity further our leadership skills, and train volunteers on the summer reading game. These internships run from June 17th to August 3rd, and the interns help train volunteers. And we will also be completing other tasks around the library.
And just to add to that, the teen internship or volunteering that Jessica and Z are taking part in was part of a program by Dollar Tree this year and our young adult organization through the American Library Association. So we actually received money in order to pay these young ladies to be working with us this summer. So that's the first time we've launched something like that, and we're very excited about that. And as well, I'm happy to report, it says 65 applications, but I know of as today, over 100 applications came in for teens volunteering at the library. So we had a very good turnout of teens, and I thank you both for all of that.
Thank you for that report. Welcome, Z, and welcome back, Jessica. Any questions? If not, I see none. Next item is Historical Commission report, which we've already received. Item 14 would be committee reports. Are there any committee reports tonight?
There are not. I know that there was some discussion about the landscaping committee, which I think you're all following in terms of email. We did have one tree and a couple bushes that did not make it, and so we've been working with Great Oaks in order to have those replaced and to get that fixed up on the lawn. So that's the update on that. We'll be moving forward.
Okay. Next item is public comment. This is our second public comment session. Anybody from the public has any comments, now's the chance to make them to the library board. Not seeing anybody rush to the podium, so we're going to move on to item number 16, matters for board action. The approval of the 6 strategic objectives and goals that we discussed this past Saturday.
So they are on page 1415, and there was discussion and not an approval, but there was a 6 strategic objective. We actually, a couple things. We changed what the strategic title is. They're not strategic goals, they are strategic objectives. And then a 6th objective was presented for the board to consider this evening. In addition to that, what the board did was took those 6 objectives and took then the 12-13 goals, which they approved for 13-14, and we melded them into the objectives so that we'll be working from one document this year, and you can see all of that information then in one area as we bring it to you monthly and all the updates. So we now have 6 objectives, strategic objectives, with the library board's goals following.
Any discussion from the board on these objectives? I would entertain a motion to, I would entertain somebody to make a motion then.
I move that we adopt the strategic objectives for this coming year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any additional discussion? If not, all in favor of adopting these 6 strategic objectives, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, unanimously approved. These are 6 strategic objectives.
Thank you.
I have on my agenda here, item number 17 would be an executive session. So I entertain a motion to move into executive session for the review of the director.
So moved?
Support. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? At this time, we're going to move into executive session. After the executive session, we will come back out here, but I anticipate that would be only to adjourn the meeting. But we will be back, but I don't expect any additional business to be conducted other than an adjournment. Thank you.
Ladies, you're free to go. Thank you.